As I'm sure people who frequent my videos are aware, I am a man of certain principles, and I try to hold to those principles even in situations that would cost me somehow, from something as major as disadvantaging me to something as minor as not being able to buy or get something that I was wanting. I try to hold true to my principles, and that is why I am talking about this particular case today. I feel that if I didn't, I would be showing a double standard and not applying my principles evenly. Now, what happened was, a few days ago, a gaming publication wrote an article about an email they got from a gaming studio. I don't know if the email was the same across all publications that got review copies for this game, or if it was just them. But I do know that they did get this in their email. And I'm going to not only have a screenshot of this in the description, I am going to read this verbatim because I think that it needs to be heard to fully grasp what it is and why I would take issue with it. Also, we're working on several other games that are definitely interesting, and if your review or preview of Dead Effect 2 is very negative, you won't receive any keys from us in the future. I think you can see the issue here. This is another case of a game developer abusing their position and authority as a game developer to try and remove any negative criticism. Now, I will refer once again to my favorite dead horse, that there is, or was, an incident about a year ago where a developer did a very similar thing on Steam with one of the Steam reviews. That is the sole reason I still do not own that game. That is the sole reason I still will never own that game. And that is the reason that I will not ever buy this game or any other game that this studio makes. And let me be perfectly clear, this is not me calling for a boycott against them. This is me holding true to my principles and just letting that information out there that they did this so that people can make up their mind about what they would want to do. The next day, they released an apology email where their main points were that it was a translation issue, and I'm not kidding with this part, they wanted to heavily emphasize that they were an indie studio to protect themselves against the trolls. Because apparently, the same people that run this gaming studio also ran Amy's Baking Company. Now, I don't believe this was a translation issue. There are too many people that this would have had to have passed through for it to have been a translation issue. But even if it was, the entire purpose of this sentence existing does not make sense. So I don't buy that in the least. I think that they were serious, they got caught, and they're trying to save face. But that's just my opinion on that. That's not fact. Now, I'm talking about this because I talk about this sort of thing all the time from the gaming media themselves. And I don't like defending the gaming media. But this is a situation where I feel that I should. Otherwise, I would be applying a double standard. That it's not okay for the gaming media to abuse their authority as journalists, but it's okay for game devs to do that. And it's not okay in either situation. But that's why I hate the gaming media as much as I do, because they do this kind of stuff all the time. The most recent and biggest example I can think of is Lady Killer in a Bind. Now, that was a game that had a lot of graphic sexual content in it, and they were wanting to get on Steam. Steam has a rule that I do not agree with, that they do not like sexually explicit content being on their service if that is the main point of said sexually explicit content, i.e. visual novels and porn games and all that kind of stuff. I don't like that rule. They apply that pretty consistently across the board, so at least they hold to that. And there have been a lot of games that end up censored on Steam, and the developers have said how to unlock those things if you bought the game on Steam. Which seems to... Steam has no issue with that, I think. But they just do not want the full uncensored version on Steam itself. Again, I don't agree with that, but they're relatively consistent. Now, the gaming media took issue with this, which you might think is weird considering the gaming media has, on many, many instances in the past, said that only the government can censor something. It's not censorship if a private entity does it, etc., etc. Well, they said that this was censorship and that this was completely wrong and that Steam should allow for a full uncensored version to be released on their service because the developer was a friend and ran in the same circles as the gaming media. So it's okay when it happens to people we don't give a shit about, but when it happens to our friend, it's censorship. You can see why I took particular issue with this. And they ended up helping to get an uncensored version released on Steam because of their authority as gaming journalists. I am 100% happy that a game was able to be released completely uncensored. Good on them. I wish the gaming media would hold to that standard across the board rather than only giving a shit when it's their friend. It's that kind of double standard and abuse of authority that I despise from them and I despise from game devs. I don't know why both ends keep doing this, and it really ticks me off. It's why I don't trust gaming media. I don't trust reviews from them. But it's also why I'm becoming increasingly distrustful of certain game devs. Hashtag not all. But I've seen more studios do this. And my list of games that I will never buy is starting to grow. I'm asking this from just a place of common sense. Please, stop it. People will defend you if they feel that you are being unjustly treated. You do not have to use your own authority to try and push through being treated better. Maybe it's just a lack of faith in people, and maybe I have too much. Maybe I am wrong, I fully admit that, but I do feel that if something was seen that was in the wrong, people would stand up and fight against it. I would like to believe, anyway. Anyway, this has just been Math Machine ranting about a game dev that really crossed a line that just shouldn't be crossed. Peace out.